and welcome to day 8 of Kaldheim Spoilers. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to go and remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if you go and follow me over at twitch.tv/Jarvis_Moonbeam. Also, I am on Twitter and on Instagram at Jarvis_Moonbeam. And finally, if you want to join my Discord, you'll see it in the description of the video below. But before going any further, let's get into this video. The first card today is Iceside Troll for 2 and a green. It is a snow troll warrior that is a 2/3. For 2 snow, it gets +2/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn, and then you tap it. It was sounding really good until you got to the and you tap it part. With where the 3 slots are currently in standard and historic, this isn't going to see standard and historic play. And with you having to spend snow mana to go and activate its ability, this might as well just be a vanilla creature in a limited format. So I don't think it's going to really see too much play. Provoke the Trolls. For 3 and a red, it's an instant that deals 3 damage to any target. If a creature is dealt damage this way, it gets +5/+0 until end of turn. Dude, this card is pretty freaking cool. I have a deck that I like playing. It's called Quit Hitting Yourself, even though it doesn't really hit me. What it does is it deals damage to Stormwild Caprador and to Brash Tonner to go and either deal damage to their opponent's face or to grow those creatures. Being able to deal 3 damage to them, to go and deal damage to my opponent that way, or to grow my creature, and then even give it a bigger buff is pretty freaking cool. For 4 mana, it doesn't really act too well as a removal spell. I don't really see it play too much, but I really like its ability. It's a really different design space that I like that they tried something new. There is an uncommon land cycle. The first one is Land Frostfire. It enters tapped, and it taps for a red mana. For 2 blue, and red, tap it, sacrifice it, scry 2, then it deals 2 damage to each creature. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. For 5 mana, you get to scry 2 and deal 2 damage to creatures that most of the time, unless you're playing against like rogues or elves, have bigger toughness than 2. This card is not very good, and it's only sorcery speed, so you have to do it on your turn and give up essentially access to 6 mana. It's not worth playing. Carfell Port. Yet again, enters tapped. You tap it for a blue. 3 a blue and 2 black. You sacrifice it, mill 4 cards, then return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. I don't think that this is a card that will see standard play or historic play. I think this could see commander play though, especially for the fact that it doesn't say that it has to happen at sorcery speed. I think this could very well see a lot of commander play in like a zombies, like a mere zombies build, like a lot of people like to build. Draugr Mind Robber is 2 and a blue for a zombie rogue. It's a 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top card of your target player's library. You may put that card into its owner's graveyard. I really like this ability. Imagine that your opponent just scryed on your previous turn. You get to put that card into the graveyard right away. It also essentially allows you to have a personal surveil. It is a 3 mana for a 3/2. It could see play in the Rogues build, but the most popular Rogues build uses Lura, so this can't be played in it. Will definitely be played in limited, standard, up in there for me. Jarl of the Lost. It's 3 and a black for a zombie cleric that's also 3/2. It has flash, and when it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature or planeswalker that was dealt damage this turn. And then for 1 and a black, you can foretell it. So Wizards has entered this design space before that when it enters the battlefield, if a creature was dealt damage, destroy that creature. In my experience of this card, it doesn't really work out too well for the most part. The flash is great, but I don't think the second ability really triggers often enough to try to bake that build around in any type of deck. Probably just a limited card, not being played anywhere else. This card really intrigues me. Blood in the Snow, 4 and 2 black. Choose one, destroy all creatures, or destroy all planeswalkers. Then return a creature or planeswalker with CMC X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the number of snow mana spent to cast a spell. Why this intrigues me is because you destroy creatures or planeswalkers. So right off the bat, you don't really see it in Standard anymore, but in Historic, you do see planeswalker builds. So this is a good sideboard card against those decks. But then go to the next step, returning the creature from your graveyard. With there not being any reason not to run Snow Basics, you can return a total up to a creature with 6 CMC. So I really like that a lot. I probably won't play this in Commander personally, just because I would prefer the 4 mana board wipes, or even the 3 mana board wipes. But this could even be a creature that I play in Commander, a spell that I play in Commander as well. I really do like the card. We'll see what happens in the future. Tuscary Firewalker, 2 and a red. It's a human berserker that's a 3/2. It has Boast for a single generic mana. Exile the top part of your library. You may play that part this turn. This is a way that Wizards has decided to go and give red card advantage. You see the same thing with like Light Up the Stage and stuff like that, where you just exile the card. I don't know if it's fast enough for mono red. I think you have better options there as well. It is a good standard card. I'm not a standard card, a limited card. It might see play in mono red burn though. Have to go and see where that goes and shakes out once everything rotates out. Beskir, Shield Mate. It's 1 and a white for a human warrior that's a 2/1. When it dies, create a 1/1 white human warrior creature token. So you have a human warrior that gets replaced with a human warrior that's slightly less tough. Well, slightly less powerful. Same toughness. Nowhere for that in any of the constructed formats. I would be okay with this in limited though for sure. If I was playing white and I had a creature that replaced itself, I'd be very happy with it. Another one of the uncommon lands is Axguard Armory. It taps for a white, and then for 1, 2 red and a white, sacrifice Axguard Armory, search your library for an aura and or an equipment card, reveal them, put them into your hand, and then shuffle your library. This is the first card, first uncommon card that I would say is going to see tons of play. Boros is the equipment Voltron Commander deck. It also does at times play auras, and the fact that you go and get an aura and an equipment both from your graveyard for 4 mana, 5 if you count sacking the land, it's fantastic. Standard, I don't think it's going to see play just because I don't. Boros really isn't an archetype right now, and I don't think Boros equipment or Boros auras is really going to happen anytime soon. But this is a commander card all day, every day, and I think any Voltron deck is gonna that's in Boros colors is gonna play this. Ruined Crown is 3 generic mana for an artifact equipment. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library, hand, and or graveyard for a rune card, and put it onto the battlefield attached to Ruined Crown. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. Equip creature gets +1/+1, and it has equip 2. Where this will be powerful depends on where else runes are in the design space. So far, I've only recall seeing the blue rune that gives creatures flying, and if it's attached to equipment, it gives that what the equipment's attached to flying. Without knowing where else the design space of runes are, I don't know if this will see play. It'll be interesting. I think this is more just a flavor for the set, not necessarily something you're going to see played in any type of format, including I don't think it's going to be played in limited either. Ascendant Spirit is a single blue mana for a snow creature spirit that's a 1/1. For 2 snow mana, it becomes a spirit warrior with base power and toughness of 2/3. For 3 snow mana. If Ascendant Warrior is a spirit is a warrior, put a flying counter on it, and it becomes a Spirit Warrior Angel with base power and toughness 4/4. For 4 snow mana, if Ascendant Spirit is an angel, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it, and it gains whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player. Draw a card. So, couple things to unpack here. This is essentially like the level up cards, like Hexdrinker. You really don't have good 1-drop slots in spirits in the spirit deck in historic, and this could even make spirits viable in standard. Where I really like this is you do it at any time. So you could play it as the 1/1. Someone goes and you could then go and use it to block someone's 1/1. Pay that 2 snow mana, it becomes that 2/3. Where I also like it is the final step. It says if it's an angel, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it, and it gains whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player. Draw a card. It doesn't say you can't pay that multiple times. So the fact that you can pay that multiple times means that you go and change that angel from a base power of 4/4 with 2 +1/+1s as a 6/6. You can make it an 8/8, a 10/10, going on further and further. That's what makes Crawling Barrens so good, is because you could go and make that really large, really fast. The deal combat damage to a player, draw a card, is just like icing on the cake. This is going to see play in Standard and Historic most likely. I don't think it's going to see play in Commander, and personally, unless I get Snowlands that make sense, I won't play this in Limited, just because Snow Mana is going to be at a premium there. Skempfar Avenger is 1 and a black for an Elf Berserker. It's a 3/1. Whenever another non-token Elf or Berserker you control dies, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. So this is Midnight Reaper that only cares about Elves and Berserkers. It is slightly weaker because it's a 3/2, but it also costs 1 less mana because that costs 3. In a Golgari Elf stack, that is very well possible with all the Golgari Elves this is pushing out in Standard and Historic. This could see play. This will probably be played in a Commander deck as well. The past that, I might play it in Limited if I could go and get Elves. I'd be wary playing it in Limited past having Elves or Berserker travel support, just because 1 toughness is not the best. But you never know. Oh, and the other big difference with this, it says another non-token. Midnight Reaper will give you, even if itself dies, this has to be a different creature than itself. Strategic Planning is a reprint. It's 1 in a blue. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. This is not going to see play. I don't really see it seeing play. Might be a Limited card. I don't like playing these kinds of cards in Limited, but it could be played there. I don't see it seeing play in any Standard, Historic, or Commander format. Poison the Cup, 1 and 2 black. Destroy target creature. If this spell was foretold, scry 2. Foretell for 1 and a black. So this is a removal spell that will be played. I don't like Foretell. I will say it every single time Foretell comes up in a video, at least once in a video, I will say I don't like Foretell if Foretell is mentioned there. I just don't like the mechanic because I like being in control, and Foretell removes that control because you can't interact with it. For the 2 mana on a do-nothing turn, and then just paying for 1 and a black, and so for 1 more mana you get Scry 2. I don't see the problem with that. I really like it. Now, it'll be drafted early in all Limited formats. In Standard, if you do a Foretell Matters deck, this is going to be played. I won't even play this in play, even if I don't care about Foretell Matters decks. I think this will be played in Standard. Standard, not Historic, but possibly Standard. Usher of the Fallen is a single white for a Spirit Warrior. That's a 2/1. Has Boast for 1 and a white. Create a 1/1 white human warrior creature token. I don't like it. Only would play this in Limited. I wouldn't play this anywhere else. Maybe Spirits Matter in Standard? Maybe. Because it is another 1-drop in the Spirit slot for the Spirit deck, but I don't like it. This is probably the most powerful card that was unveiled today. In Search of Greatness, it's 2 green. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may cast a permanent spell with CMC cost equal to 1 plus the highest CMC among other permanents you control from your hand without paying its mana cost. If you don't, scry 1. So for 2 mana, sure, it's 2 green, who cares? That's not really that restrictive. In 5 color commander decks, I put spells in there that share 2 color pips. It's not a big deal. But for 2 mana, you at least get a free scry every single upkeep. That goes and generates card advantage. As some people have like to say, a scry is equal to half a card draw. It is card advantage in an enchantment form, which is notoriously hard to remove for 2/5 of the color pie. But then tack on the fact that, okay, you play this for 2. You don't have anything else on the board. You play a 1-drop turn 1, this turn 2. Turn 3, you get a free 3 CMC permanent on the battlefield. Plus, you could play another 3 CMC permanent, and that's not including if you don't go and have a way to ramp. In Commander, it could literally be land Mana Crypt Soul Ring, turn 1. Turn 2, land In Search of Greatness, Arcane Signet. Turn 3, oh, you have all that mana that you go and just play. Or, I say Arcane Signet, it could even be something Arcane Signet and then a 3-drop that only costs 1. So, you're looking at turn 4, already looking at a 4-drop. Yeah, it just gets out of control. It's ramp card advantage. If I'm playing a green deck, especially a green deck that has a wide variety of CMCs, I'm playing this. Simple as can be. Revitalize, it's 1 and a white. It's another reprint. It's an instant, you gain 3 life, draw a card. There are standard decks that play this. Mono white life gain. Historic plays this. This is a limited card for sure, though. Valkyrie's Sword, 1 and a white. Artifact equipment that when it enters the battlefield, you may pay 4 and a white, so 5 more mana. If you do create a 4/4 white angel warrior creature token with flying and vigilance, then attach Valkyrie's Sword to it. It gets +2/+1. Unplayable. You're not playing this. It's bad. Don't play it. Dwarven Reinforcements for 3 and a red. It's a sorcery. Create 2/1 red dwarf berserker creature tokens. Foretell 1 and a red. Bad. Don't play it. Skempfar Elder Hall. It's a tap it for a green. 2 black and a green. Sacrifice it. Up to 1 target creature you don't control gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Create 2 1/1 Grief Elf warrior creature tokens. Activate this ability only any time you could cast a sorcery. No. It's only sorcery speed, and it only gives -2/-2, and who cares about the 1/1 creature tokens? It's not good, especially when you're saying that it's 5 mana plus losing a land. No. Not Bold Slumber Mound. Add a red mana. For 3, a red and 2 green, sacrifice it, destroy target land, create a 4/4 green troll warrior creature token with trample. This is 6 mana and losing a land. In a way, I feel like this one is probably the second most playable. Not the most playable, the second most playable because the boros one is the most. Because you can remove a problem lane. This is a good way to get rid of a crawling barons in standard. It's a good way to go and get rid of a castle in standard. And you get a 4/4 with trample. It's playable. Gruul Stompy probably would like it because those control decks that rely on crawling barons just to go and get the damage through make a difference. I don't think it's going to see play, but it is playable. Tundra Boomerang. For 1 and 2 red, it's a snow sorcery. Deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. You add a colorless mana for each snow mana spent to cast a spell. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. So 3 mana to deal 4 damage. So 3 mana to remove a creature. Because 4 damage does get rid of a lot of creatures. Bone Crusher, Questing Beast, Brushfire, Mammoth, Thor Mammoth, or not Thor Mammoth, I'm sorry, Kazandra Mammoth, all the rogues. And then you get to use that mana that you spent. Sure, it gets filtered from red to colorless later on in the turn. So it replenishes itself, so it's essentially a free burn spell. It is a very, very strong card, and it will be played a lot. Its only downside is the sorcery, but I don't care if it's a sorcery if it replaces in its own mana. Scorn Effigy, 3 generic mana, foretell 0. It's a 2/3 scarecrow. I have no idea. I don't know what the point of this card is. I may have played in limited, maybe? I don't really know. I can't even say it. No idea. I don't think it's good. Gold Mod Champion, 2 and a white. Dwarf Warrior for 2/3. It has Boast, 1 and a white. Tap target creature. Very strong card in limited. Because you get to go and get rid of a blocker because you can do this anytime during the attacking phase or after the attacking phase. So you declare attackers. Before you move to blockers, you pay the Boast cost, get rid of the problematic blocker. I don't think it's good enough for standard or historic, but I think it's going to be one of those cards that you want to get multiple in limited if you can. Axguard Braggart for 3 and a white. It's a Dwarf Warrior, 3/3 with Boast, 1 and a white. Untap it and put a +1/+1 counter on it. That's quite strong. Very, very strong. That will actually see play in the +1/+1 counter Selesnya deck. And it has Pseudo Vigilance. I like it. Really good. Fearless Liberator, 1 in a red. Dwarf Berserker, that's a 2/1. Boast 2 in a red, create a 2/1 red Dwarf Berserker creature token. Not playable. No. Not good. Vault Robber, 1 in a red. Creature Dwarf Rogue for 1/3 with 1 and tapping it, exile a creature card from your graveyard, create a treasure token. Possibly playable. Red decks tend to lose creatures quite a bit, so this does give ramp there. I don't think it's going to see play, but I think it's Fringe. Gates of Istfell. Tap it for white. 2, a white and 2 blue. Gain 2 life and draw 2 cards. They really hate white, don't they? You get to gain 2 life because you're in white. And the blue gets you to draw 2 cards. It's 5 mana and losing a land. It's not worth playing it. And the last card is another god. It's a mono blue card in Kazima, God of the Voyage. Legendary creature god, that's a 2/4. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile it. If you do, it gains whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. If it is exiled, you may put a Voyage counter on it. If you don't, return it to the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it and draw X cards, where X is the number of Voyage counters on it. So it is something that cares about lands. It's something that cares about that gives you card draw. Do I think it's going to see play in Standard Historic? No. Do I think it's going to see play in Commander? Yes. At least as the god side of it. It is a 2/4, so it does have a nice little bit of toughness on there. And if you go and exile it during your upkeep, you get to go and draw a card. I don't see the when you bring it back. I just don't think it's fast enough. I don't think it's good enough there, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to see play. And the reason why it's going to see play is because of the Omen Keel, which is its backside. It's 1 and a blue for a legendary vehicle. That's a 3/3. Whenever a vehicle you control deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles that many cards from the top of their library. You may play lands from among those cards for as long as they remain exiled. And has crew 1. So you get a 3/3 that only needs a token to crew it. You exile cards from your opponents so they can't play it. You play land cards from those as long as they remain exiled, which gives make sure you hit your land drops essentially, especially in blue, which blue doesn't always hit land drops. And it matters for all vehicles. So, do a vehicle deck. You could go every single vehicle that does combat damage to that player is exiling cards. I love this side of the card. This side of the card is where it's worth playing for me. The one deck that I kind of want to force it into, because it would be a force, is Rogues. The reason why I say it's a force is because you're exiling it instead of milling them, so you don't get the bust for the Rogues. But I'm going to find a way to make this work in a deck. I'm sure. I only like to keep one deck of each color in my Commander arsenal, and right now my mono blue Commander is Urza, so I probably won't play this Commander, but this is a fun Commander card for me as well. But let's see what happens. So, now that we've gone over all the cards, what do you think? Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? What were your favorite cards that were unveiled today? Let me know. Have a good day.